guys, it's Shelby Slay, your campus librarian here. Today for our professional development session, we'll be looking at the digital literacy and citizenship lessons that we'll be teaching in our classes this year. If you guys would like, all of this information is also in your It's Learning accounts, including the lesson information, the lesson plans, and all of the attached documents. So you're welcome to follow through with me if you'd like to. All right, let's go ahead on and get started. All right, so there's just some information about me. You've got my name. Again, I'm Shelby Slay. I'm your librarian here at Stratford, and there's my email address in case you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything along those lines. Feel free to reach out and contact me. I also have our Twitter right there, and you guys are welcome to follow us on Twitter, and we put lots of great information on there for you. So let's go ahead on and get started. Okay, so we've got a couple of different lessons that we'll be looking at this year. For our freshman English courses, they'll be looking over plagiarism and internet ethics. Our sophomore English classes will be looking at challenges to materials, and our junior English classes will be looking at copyright. And last but certainly not least, our senior English classes will be looking at right to privacy. Okay, so let's take a look at the plagiarism lesson for 9th grade. As you can see, the lesson title for this one is What is Plagiarism and How to Avoid It? So in this lesson, we'll be introducing our students to just the basics of plagiarism. We'll also be talking to them about SBISD standards for academic honesty for all of their coursework. And we'll also teach them how to correctly paraphrase as well as cite their sources correctly. So some of the different ideas in this lesson, as we talked about, we're going to talk about what plagiarism is, how to paraphrase and what that means, and then also look at MLA 8th edition citations. Okay, so here's the breakdown for the lesson. And again, all of this information is linked in your It's Learning page. And you guys can grab all the information off there, including the PowerPoints, all of the documents, things along those lines. So our bell ringer, as you can see, is a quick write over the current prompt that's up there. It says, what comes to mind when you hear the word plagiarism? So we'll give students a couple of minutes as soon as they get into class to write over that one. Then you'll go right into the activity. So as you can see, after they finish their quick write, they will, as a group, come up with a definition for plagiarism as well as 3 potential consequences for plagiarizing something. You guys are welcome to put them in groups, or they can choose your own groups. That's up to you. And then once they are done coming up with those items, they'll write them on a piece of butcher paper and then present all of these different things to the class. Okay, and then once you are done with that section, you'll go into the What is Plagiarism PowerPoint. The PowerPoint for this one also has a handout that's paired with it, and students will complete that while they are listening to the PowerPoints. Once you're done with the PowerPoint, you'll do the Paraphrase This worksheet. So students are going to complete this handout prior to the end of the period, and I'll show you guys what that worksheet looks like. If you would like to, you're welcome to have students pair up to complete the handout, just depending upon their learning needs. Students will also have an exit ticket for this lesson. They'll be given a 4-question multiple choice quiz over plagiarism, and they'll turn that into you guys before they leave the class. So in terms of the assessments for this course, we're looking at the quiz and the Paraphrase This worksheet to determine their level of understanding. All right, so quickly, there's a couple of videos that will be linked in the PowerPoint presentation. You guys are welcome to watch these videos if you would like to. We've got the punishable perils of plagiarism. That's a TED Ed video. We also have tips for avoiding accidental plagiarism. And then we've got our Paraphrase This worksheets. So as you guys can see here, it's got directions up at the top. You've got the citation already done for students so they can reference that. You have your original text that's written there, and then blank lines for them to paraphrase that information. If I click on the next one, there's also a second page as well. And I've also linked this information in our PowerPoint too, so you can click directly on there, and it takes you right to that page in your Google Drive. Okay, moving on from there, we've got the Internet Ethics lesson for 9th graders. This one is called Digital Citizenship in Today's Society. In this one, we know that digital citizenship is a word that our students often hear, although they don't necessarily know the meaning of this word. So we will be discussing what digital citizenship is, how it affects our students' life, both academically and personally. So like I said, the ideas discussed in this lesson include digital citizenship, what a digital footprint is, and then the 4 ways to be a good digital citizen. So as you guys can see there, you've got legal, appropriate, responsible, and kind, and all 4 of those will be listed in the lesson. So here is our lesson breakdown for this one. You have a digital citizenship intro quiz that's done by SBISD. Students will go directly to the link that will be provided for them, and it takes them 5 to 7 minutes to fill this out, review it, and then send their scores over to you guys. Like we said, this quiz will just be used as a pre-assessment for student learning. Once you're done with that quiz, you will go straight into the Digital Citizenship in Today's Society PowerPoint. So for that PowerPoint, similar to our last one, we do have a handout that's paired with that PowerPoint. Then once you get to the last slide, which is the Alone Together video, you'll lead students in a class discussion resulting from the following question. And that question is, what message was the speaker in the video trying to relay to the audience? So you'll go straight from the end of that video to take students into that discussion. After you're done with that discussion, as you can see, we've got our activity that is related to it. So you will quickly reflect on that question. Then you're going to pair students up with a classmate to discuss their answers to the question. The pairs will then join another pair at their table and they'll discuss their ideas and form, as we said, a table opinion. Then those groups will discuss their opinions with the class and it will lead to an open group discussion. We also have an exit ticket for this lesson as well. For this one, as we talked about, you had your students take the pre-assessment quiz. So you're going to discuss with them the reasons why you had to take them, obviously to pre-assess their knowledge. And then you're going to have them take a follow-up quiz, which instead of fact-based questions like we had in the first one, it's going to be more scenario-based. And again, we will use this quiz as well to gauge the understanding of the students' knowledge from this lesson. And then here is that quiz linked directly here. You guys could click on that and it takes you right to the quiz. I welcome you to definitely take this quiz prior to teaching this lesson. I think it'll give you some great information and things to look at. And then we've also got the videos related to the lesson. The first one from the Ellen Show, it's called You Posted That on Facebook, is quite hilarious. So I definitely suggest that you guys watch that one prior to this lesson. I think you'll get a good kick out of it. We've got Be a Digital Citizen, and then we also have a couple more. 2 of them are by Google. One is Think Before You Share, which is something everyone needs to do. Protect Your Stuff, which is also an important thing to remember. And then we have the Alone Together video that we talked about just a little while ago, which will lead to our class discussion. All right, on to my 10th graders. 10th graders will be looking at the challenges to materials. Okay, our 10th graders just finished the book Fahrenheit 451 in their English 2 classes, and that novel pairs very well with this lesson. So like we talked about, we'll be introducing the ideas of censorship and banned materials to our students, and we'll be talking about it and looking at it in a real-world scenario versus the book. So students will be given examples of previously banned books, why they were banned, and how these different things affect their rights. So ideas that we'll discuss with students in this lesson include what is censorship, and then their First Amendment rights as well. All right, so our lesson breakdown for this one. As you can see, the bell ringer for this one is a banned books Kahoot. That is linked directly to your lesson plan, and it's also in your It's Learning page. The one thing that I would suggest is make sure you have that Kahoot already up and ready. Make sure you click the play button prior to students getting in there so that you can give them their code right away. Once you have finished that Kahoot, definitely let that lead you into a class discussion about what censorship is and why it leads to banned materials or banned books. From there, you will finish and start the Censorship and Challenged Books PowerPoint. Similar to our other ones, that one also has a handout that pairs directly with the PowerPoint that students will complete while you are going through the lesson. Now, we've got an activity that comes with the last video in the lesson, in that presentation. So once you finish that last video, you're going to go ahead on and group students into 2s, and then those 2 will select a children's book that they would like to review based off just the title and the summary alone. We've already got those listed for you. Those are also on your It's Learning page that you guys can print out. You'll cut out those different books and then you can lay them on a table for students to pick from. Okay, so once students pick their book, they'll read the title of it and then the summary, and then there are 3 questions based off of this lesson that they will answer about that book. The first one is why they think the book was banned. The second one leads them into asking them and them researching the real reason why the book was banned. And then the last one talks about should this book be banned and so forth. So, like we said, they'll research those different questions, and then they'll add their answers to a piece of butcher paper along with the self-drawn cover of the book, and then they'll present this information in front of a class as a pair. Once they are done with that, we do have an exit ticket. For this exit ticket, you'll go ahead on and give students the censorship and challenged book exit ticket, which I've got on this slideshow that I can show to you guys. It's also linked, like I said, in It's Learning and in your lesson plans. So the questions on this exit ticket must be answered in complete sentences, and they'll need to turn this in prior to exiting the class as well. And then we'll use this activity in the exit ticket to gauge our students' level of understanding for this lesson. There's the link to the Banned Books Kahoot, like I was telling you guys. You can either click the Join the Kahoot button, or you can use that QR code below to link it. We also have the videos related to this lesson. We've got our top 10 most challenged videos, or I'm sorry, not videos, books of 2017. I think you guys will find some interesting ones in there and some that might surprise you. We also have the video, Why You Should Care About Banned Books, and that's the one that will lead you into your activity. And then we've got our SBISD, Intellectual Freedom and Self-Censorship Statement. This is something that you will talk about with your students during the PowerPoint portion of the lesson. This is a great piece of information to have in your classroom. I definitely have many of them up around the library, and it just reminds students that reading is a joy and a privilege and the right of every student. And it lets them know that if they pick something up that is not right for them, they're always welcome to bring it back and select something else. But we've got that in there just so every student can find something that works for them. And then, as you guys can see, I've also got your exit ticket here, which you guys can click on, and that takes you right to the Google Drive. You've got your 2 questions on there, and it's got the directions in terms of how many complete sentences students are supposed to write for these 2. You guys are welcome to cut those out and use them as half sheets. Okay, so moving on from there, we're going to take a look at the 11th grade copyright lesson. This one's lesson title is Copyright Laws and Logic. In this lesson, we'll be looking at the basics of copyright and copyright laws, and we'll also teach our students about what copyright law infringement is, different ways that you can violate copyright laws, and the consequences that come with those violations. And then we'll talk to students about how to avoid copyright infringement as well. So in this lesson, like we talked about, we'll discuss what copyright is, and we'll also take a look at fair use. So moving on from there, we've got our lesson breakdown. We do have a bell ringer for this one. For this bell ringer, you're going to list the following questions for your students. The first one says, have you ever violated a copyright law? If so, how and why? So give students a couple minutes to journal about this question. Once they're done with that, like 2, 3, 5 minutes, somewhere in there, you'll ask them the following question. You'll ask them to raise their hands if they answered no to this question. Then, after you've done that, you'll ask them if they've ever shared someone else's picture on social media. I think everyone has been a criminal in terms of that. But if they raise their hand to that question, obviously they've violated a copyright law. So you'll use that answer to lead you into a discussion about copyright. So we do have some activities that go with this one. Like you can see there, you're going to introduce the 2 songs, Photograph by Ed Sheeran and Amazing by Matt Cardley. You're going to let students listen to those 2 songs, and then you're going to break down the similarities in those 2 songs for students. So, and then they'll talk about that. So after you discuss this, you're going to ask your students to think if Matt Cardley has a viable reason to sue Ed Sheeran for copyright infringement. Okay, so we're going to take a look at that. You'll then discuss their thoughts on this question, and you'll reveal to them that Ed Sheeran is actually in hot water again. He's been potentially caught for copyright violations on another song. So not just the first song, but there's also another one that he's been brought up about. You've got a link that will play a video that is in that lesson, and it's linked directly to your lesson plans that you can play for them. Then once that video is over, let students discuss with a neighbor if they think that the new lawsuit is a viable copyright suit or not. and then you can quickly talk about it as a class. Once you're done with that portion of the lesson, you'll move on to the censorship and challenged books PowerPoint. Just like our other ones, obviously that one's got a handout that's paired with it as well that students will follow along and fill out as you are going through the lesson. We also have another activity that's paired with this one. So once you have finished the PowerPoint, you're going to have students reflect back on the initial discussion about Ed Sheeran from earlier and see if their opinion on the matter has changed at all. Then once you've done that, you're going to move on to the song lyrics and T-chart worksheet, which you'll hand out to students. For this worksheet, they're going to analyze 2 different songs that are very similar, I must say, and then they're going to complete the questions based on what they've learned from the lesson. There's also an exit ticket. With this one, it's just a quick one. You're going to hand out Post-it notes to all of your students, and you're going to have them answer the following question in a complete sentence. So on the Post-it note, you'll just have them answer the question that says, has your understanding of copyright laws changed? And then why or why not? So we've got a couple of different handouts for you guys, and these are great things to have for yourself as well. I'm actually going to click on these so that you can take a look at them. So for this first one, which is the Copyright and Fair Use Guidelines for Teachers, on the left-hand side, you can see there's your medium over there in terms of what you're using or would like to use. Then, as I scroll back up, it's got the specifics for that one in terms of what you can use, what you can do with it, and then the fine print that goes with it. This is an excellent thing to keep in your classroom, and we've also got some up in the copy room for you guys as well, just to remind you of all the different things when you are copying your information for students. Okay, moving on from there, we also have another infographic for you guys, which is Copyright and Fair Use in the Classroom. We have not only the Pictochart one right here where you can go straight into it and play the videos, but I've also given you a PDF of this one as well. That one doesn't play the videos for you, but you can still take a look at it. It's got some great information. So it talks about what copyright is, why it matters to us, and you can see that it's got a video with it. It's got some materials that you can use in your class, the basics and the specifics. It's got fair use for educators, so your 4 main factors, and then it's got a 5th factor, which is transformative works that it goes through as well. You've got a fair use reminder right there, and it's got a great video that goes with it. And then you've got your Creative Commons information, your different types of licenses and so forth. And then we've got a Creative Commons basic video for you as well. And then, of course, we've got our works cited at the end because, you know, we've always got to cite our sources. Okay, so moving on from there, I've got the song lyrics comparison and T-chart assignment for you guys to see. We've got Stronger by Kanye West, and don't worry, it's the clean version, I promise. And then we've also got Daft Punk's Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. And I would strongly suggest that you guys go through and look at this assignment prior to going over it with the students. I think you'll be, well, strongly surprised at the differences here between the two. All right, so moving on from that one, you guys can see it really quick. I've got this linked as well in Google. As you can see, there's the first page. And if we scroll down just a little bit, it takes you into that T-chart and then the questions below. All right. So there's that second page again. There's the videos related to the lesson as well. And again, they are in the PowerPoint for you and linked on the lesson plan. All right, we've got our last lesson, the right to privacy lesson. This one is a little bit longer, so it's actually been broken into a 3-day time period. So for this lesson, we have what are your rights, know them, protect them, and propagate them. And this is for our seniors. For the lesson overview, we're going to introduce our students to the term right to privacy. They're going to learn what that means and how it relates to their personal information. As we all know, our seniors are going off and leaving us next year, and this is definitely some information that they need. They'll also be given an overview of who does and does not have access to review or request their information, and we're going to put them in a mock school board case scenario, which they are going to basically live out a right to privacy challenge. So what we'll discuss in this lesson, we're obviously going to discuss what is right to privacy, and we'll also take a look at the amendments that protect our privacy rights. Okay, so Like I said, this lesson is broken into a 3-day time period. Don't worry, everything is listed on your lesson plan. It talks you right through it. So as you can see, the first day we're going to do the PowerPoint and introduce the lesson to our students. So the PowerPoint will be completed during this period, and after an introduction to the term right to privacy and a class discussion, you're going to move right to the PowerPoint. Once that PowerPoint is complete, you're going to introduce students to their main assignment for this lesson, which is the What Are Your Rights mock school board meeting activity. So students will begin their initial research once the overview of the activity is complete. Day 2 will be an entire day devoted to research and preparation for this lesson and that mock school board meeting. So like we said, students will continue researching with their teams to prepare for their role in this mock school board meeting. From there, day 3, we're actually going to go into the actual activity. So students will be given the first 15 minutes at the start of class to make their final adjustments. Then the mock school board meeting will begin. Oops, sorry about that. Students will complete their final verdict and analysis handout, which they will give to you. And then they'll also complete a peer evaluation for all of their classmates that they worked with in this actual assignment. So for our activity assessments for this one, participation in the mock school board meeting is one of our big portions of the assessment. We also have that final verdict and analysis handout, which will check for completion and student understanding. And then the peer evaluation and group work form. This will be used as a portion of the student's overall grade for the project. There is a rubric that goes with this one that is listed on your It's Learning page. Okay, so here is the example so that you guys can see the peer evaluation form. All right, there's your first page that goes with it. And again, this one is linked directly to your Google Drive. So you can click on this and go straight into your Google Drive. There are the questions that they will answer for each of their teammates. So you've got your team feedback dynamics on both of those. And then there's the end. There's our works cited page. Again, if you guys have any questions at all on any of these assignments, please do not just feel free to reach out and ask me any questions that you may have. I'm available for you guys at any time, even if you'd like me to come to your class and go over with this information with you and help you out with this. Again, all of this information is listed in your It's Learning page, and we've got the step-by-step guides for you on the lesson plans. Again, if you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks and have a great day, you guys.